We're here. Welcome to Thrill Me Dojo. Your first lesson is free. That's right. We're going to preview the Karate Kid saga, the Cobra Kai saga. We're going to get into all of it on our way to the end of the road that leads to a new road, which that road's going to be a different thing that we can get into later. But this is Thrill Me Dojo. Hit it with the theme. Welcome to Thrill Me Dojo. That wonderful opening was done by yours truly, your sensei, Zach Hilton. And along with me, I brought some good dudes that I know. My one compadre, Mr. Wonderful.
Hey, everybody.
And my neighbor who literally lives 2 feet from me that we said, do it from your house, Jason.
Comfort one out today. What's going on, everybody?
It did, because he texted. He was like, how you want to do this? You want to do this via that StreamYard you do or with you? I said, comfort versus mic power. He chose comfort.
I even fixed my bike so I could walk or bike over today.
Was it broke? What happened? Did a couple of Cobra Kais kick you down a fucking hill?
Straight into the ditch, buddy.
They stole his bike.
They did.
Johnny.
God, dang it, Johnny. Always getting them. Yeah, so where this all stemmed from, what this show came about was the other day, a week ago, 2 weeks, the Cobra Kai final season teaser dropped. Mm-hmm. And the teaser itself, huge, because it's like part 1 of the final season's going to drop in July. Part 2 of the final season's going to drop in November. The final part of this season's going to drop in 2025. It's the biggest season they've done for Cobra Kai. 15 episodes. So I'm imagining 5, 5, and 5. Mm-hmm. And then from this, Karate Kid, the movie, had to move its date from December of this year to May of next year. I can only assume because it's not necessarily going to feed into each other, but they don't want to overstep everybody's business.
I actually think my gather. My gathering was they were going to feed into each other, which is why they pushed that back, because with Machio and Jackie Chan teaming up and this last season of Cobra Kai going global, I thought it was going to be the perfect tie-in to, okay, you stuck with us for the shows. It's time to move over. We're going to start producing movies now. We're going to do these one-off movies as, 3 films, and then we're going to bring in the next Karate Kid.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that could be the way they do it. We could get a post-credit of Jackie Chan in that final episode, which kind of
shows up in Cobra Kai.
I don't think he shows up until at least the last episode. And I think that's why it got pushed to 2025, because they could do that synergy outfit. Because when they announced it, the Cobra Kai team knew nothing of it. This was just Sony wanting to make this franchise even more. But I do feel like eventually they all got in a room. They figured out, if we're going to do the Karate Kid cinematic universe, we should probably talk to each other.
It's a brand collab, bud.
Exactly, because I swear to God, if Mitch Horowitz walked into that room and said, I've seen what you've done with Spider-Man, the fuck you will, Morbius us. I feel like that's truly what it went down.
Oh my God, if this goes down like Morbius and the Spider-Man franchise.
I'm telling you right now, if Ralph Macchio becomes blind, wears glasses, and he's just seeing futuristic Karate Kids just beating up some people in his webby dream, I'm into this.
Jaden, your dad's going to do something. Stop him from walking on stage.
No, that got me Bad Boys 4, but that's a completely different fucking reason. All right.
That's
so we're
this week's show.
That's right. So we are here, and that is an interesting question. Not a question, but a statement of that Karate Kid film. Eventually, we will have to watch that. I am not putting that in the beginning portion because technically, why would we? If we don't know of Jackie Chan's, I don't even know his character's name. I know poorly once I thought he was just playing Miyagi when he wasn't. But that's on me.
That's what I thought for the longest time too. I was like, he's Miyagi and he's fucking dead. I'm out. I'm not seeing
Right. Yeah, but eventually we'll have to watch the Kung Fu Kid, which I saw in theater with our host at the bottom's cousin, Paul.
Just a weird web we weave over here.
It really is. All right, so Karate Kid. What does this franchise mean to you? Where did you grow up with this bad Mamma Jammy?
So not to get all like, oh man. But this franchise for me actually was like a gateway into a relationship, like not a relationship. I've always had a relationship with my middle brother, with my brother Ken. But this was a franchise he really liked. So essentially, I watched the first one to kind of bond with him. And then I watched the second one, bond with him. And then I watched the third one, bond with him. And then I watched fucking $1 Million Baby, bond with him. Hilary Swank. There we go. I couldn't remember her name. I had to say all of her other films.
You couldn't say the next Karate Kid?
I wanted to say, and then I watched Hilary Swank. I didn't want to say next Karate Kid. I wanted to give Hilary Swank the love that she deserved. But then I couldn't remember, so I was like, the one.
But she stars in the movie The Next Karate Kid!
I know. So I watched that one to bond with him. So that's what this franchise has always kind of meant to me. So it was weird when Cobra Kai came out because for those OGs, when it was on YouTube Red, I would sign up, binge it, cancel my account, and then a year, for season 2, I created a fake account or a new wonderful account with a different email address, signed up for the free trial and canceled it. So I was like ahead of him, and I was like, yeah, brah, like, you introduced me to Karate Kid, but now like, what you doing, man? You're not even signing up to watch YouTube Red. You a fan? They make Islanders references, and you're an Islanders fan. What up?
That's fantastic.
That's that in a nutshell is what it is for me. It was just a way to bond with my brother because he really loved these films. Right. But they're really good that I enjoyed them as well. Like it wasn't just like I liked those, wink. It was like, oh, that was fun. That was good. There's another one?
Right.
Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Oh, right. Hilary Swank's hot.
How about you, Jason? How did you get into this bad Mammy Jamie?
So I can't relate this to my family and have the nice, lovely backstory. This was just I was an only child growing up, and the TV was my best friend, and it was on cable TV so often that it was one of those. Oh, Karate Kid, awesome! It's just staying on this channel, and then you catch it through 20 minutes in the movie on, and whenever you catch it, and you just always see parts of it. So Cobra Kai I did not watch on YouTube Red. I knew about it and thought it was really awesome. But then I watched it when it came out on Netflix.
You saw it when it came on Netflix, so you're a couple of years behind once it hit there. Wow, that's very interesting because like that obviously that show was the only show they had outside of whatever reality gimmicks they were trying. But it is fascinating that Netflix really did find its home with it. A new crowd to watch it, not only the stands, and so much so it was able to create 4 more seasons out of the show, especially this big finale, which I don't think anything outside of Stranger Things has really gotten from the Netflix community.
No.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head because everything usually gets canceled. But, Netflix doesn't cancel its popular shows.
No, never.
No.
So they would never do that. So I think Stranger Things and maybe their commitment to like live entertainment now because that roast of Tom Brady went big.
Yeah. Well, and WWE comes in
and
January,
WWE's
so
coming, and they've got
they're live eventing from here on out, babe.
Yeah, that's their thing now. So I guess that's like the biggest thing we can compare it to with them.
I mean, they had Orange is the New Black is the only other one I can think of back in the day where they started it off, and then I fell off of that real fast. So I don't know if any of that like kept their.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened after they all went for a swim.
I don't even know about that. What that means?
That was like season 2 or 3 or something. They
broke out of prison. We binged in like a day.
Well, they break out of prison.
This is an interesting concept that you're bringing up, though, because of how many shows that don't necessarily get that finale feel at Netflix. Like, we know Stranger Things is getting it, this is getting it, but like everything else has been kind of taper off, canceled, just go away, go to a different channel or something like that. Like, it shows you how much like force this franchise can provide. For me, when I was younger, this was almost everything to me. Like, if there's only a few things you would have known about me, and you guys know, it's Ghostbusters, Back to the Future's Karate Kid. And like that was my life. There was a point where I asked my mom to make my Halloween costume the Karate Gi, but not the Karate Gi from part 1, the red one from part 2. So she got a jacket that was red. I had the jeans. She got the emblem to be on the back of it. And what's really funny, I can't go inside like a Walmart or a Joann's fabric place without thinking about that emblem being sold in one of those places. It's wild to me that that's a memory that will always continue. But there was something about this film, even so watching it years later, that still resonates. Like, as a kid, I can watch it. It's a kid who's moving, who has to grow up in this new town that no one likes him, and he has to fit in and stuff like. This is a story that we've seen so many times. But then even getting older, where now I can look at Mr. Miyagi's character, where like he's had this loss where he lost his wife and his kid, and then like how he takes Daniel under his wing. So a guy that's been closed off finally has that like hit. And like even recently watching this movie last week, like just emotionally kind of getting to me, because it's a different take on the same movie that I've been watching. And a guy that's going to come on the show later on for episode 2 and 3 for Karate Kid 2 and 3, he even he said it, he was like, and you can look at this movie even differently from the Cobra Kai aspect once we get into that series. So it's really interesting to me for this little movie from 1984 that just, I wouldn't expect to throw so much of a universe out there, and it never really meant to.
No.
Now, we can get into Karate Kid. We'll get into it right now. So here it is. If you've never seen it, Karate Kid. There it is. Daniel LaRusso practicing that crane kick. Getting ready.
That Long Island kid. Look at that Long Island kid. Oh, that kid is a star, man. Let me tell you.
Hey, he's from Newark. Newark, movie bud.
Yeah, he is from Newark.
Shut up.
All these New Yorkers trying to claim a New Jersey person as their own.
We claim him. He claims Long Island. He doesn't claim Newark.
I'm just saying, it starts off, it says he's in Newark, so wild.
From the bat of this movie, what got me is that the composer and director are the guys that did Rocky. Like, the director of this movie directed Rocky and Rocky 5. Yeah, he directed Rocky.
Never knew that until right now.
The composer, Bill Conti. Bill Conti did the music for Rocky. Like, that's what really gets me about this, is that, you know, and going on from here, John, he works on sports movies. Like, he did The Scout with Brandon Fraser and Albert Brooks. Like,
oh, yes.
Yeah, like, he stayed in the sports world. So when he was making this movie, you could tell it was like, oh, I'm making a sports movie, but it's a high school sports movie. And it's obviously something that was very popular at the time, karate, you know, Ninja Turtle comics coming out and such. So, like, all this plays into it, and I think watching it this time for me, Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio is just such a wonderful lead. Like I don't think he presses too hard in the whiny. I don't know how you guys feel, but like he's on the cusp of being a bitch. But I don't think he ever breaks being a bitch. And I don't know if that's because Johnny and the Cobra Kais are so good at being bad guys, or that Mr. Miyagi is right there to be by his side. But he's on that cusp, but never fucking breaks it.
Jason, do you want to go first, or?
Sure. I saw you open your mouth and I was like, cool, go. But no.
No. It's funny.
I insist. No.
I was like, I don't.
No. This is your podcast, not my podcast. You go there.
Yeah, like, I don't know what's my dad's on this. Like I tend to get very excited about things and lose my cool. So
he plays it very real, where it's I'm trying to impress the girl. I'm not gonna go be a bitch, but hey, I got something over here to do. Like he looks, you look off in the background and see those guys that you don't want to be around. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the library and then check this thing out and go over around here. And when she calls him out, and he's like, I'm not scared. What are you talking about? I'm not scared at all. And he has those little jab moments where he goes in and hits the bad guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not a bitch, but I'm also gonna get my ass kicked a few times.
Right.
And I'm gonna cry about it, but it's okay.
Right. I feel real bad for him though, because like he's invited to this party. They see the girls, they're being very flirty with each other, and like he is doing the stand-up thing of like Johnny, who obviously isn't over this girl, and like they even say on the bike, she broke up with him, he didn't. And they go down there, and he's just trying to have a conversation. There is a moment where I'm just like, okay, Daniel, you don't have to get into this. And I don't think Johnny, what's wrong, really? I don't know.
That's just like somebody that's watched Cobra Kai.
Crushed her radio.
Yeah.
Right.
Radio.
You never slam a radio.
Especially
also,
that big boombox.
Can we talk about how these guys invited Danny to go to this party and do this thing, and then he gets beat up by the multi-time everybody knows he's the karate champion of the city, and they're like, "What a dick! You're
dweeb! This guy
you got beat up on the beach, dummy!
How dare you!" Yeah, the one guy who looks like Adam Sandler, or not Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg. Andy Samberg's just like, this guy's a lucha. We gotta get out of here. Which, by the way, this entire
like a hot rod and go out.
But these guys are neighbors. We don't see them again until the tournament. Like, no speaking role, but they're in the crowd. So there is like interactions between these guys that we don't see.
Yeah. They 100% knew this guy was the karate champ. They just were like, yeah, go help him out. See what happens.
Go help her. Go see what happens, guy. Everybody gather around the new kid trying to fight the karate champion.
Oh my God, he did it. He did it.
What a dummy.
That's a very high school thing to do. I mean, let's be real.
You're not wrong.
Like, some kid, even if you were befriending the kid, you'd be like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's right. Champion, you idiot.
So, Wonderful, what's your thoughts on Johnny at this point? Like, do you think he's in the right, wrong? What are we thinking?
So, taking Cobra Kai out of it, putting myself back.
Yeah, we have to just look at this as Karate Kid.
Yeah, as Karate Kid, know How I Met Your Mother flipped the script and made us all go, oh my God, you're right.
He was the Karate Kid.
Yeah. And look at that, Ralph Macchio and Johnny. Oh my God, they're both in the same Williams episode. He's on television. He got paid. It's about time somebody paid him. He needed the work, so thank you, How I Met Your Mother.
They all needed it.
Yeah, they did. Listen, when you do that softball movie with Artie Lang and you're not the lead, you need How I Met Your Mother, Ralph Macchio. Purely, go watch it. Trust me, kids. So my take on Johnny was he was totally in the wrong. He was totally the a-hole here. You know, Ralph was totally in the right to be like, yeah, man, what's up? I'm trying to impress the girl, trying to stand up to her, but to get his ass beat. But to answer the question of if I think he's a bit of like a whiner, I think the movie does a great job at presenting him in a way of like in that moment where he's willing to go toe to toe, doesn't know that's the Karate Kid, that's a karate champion, gets beat up. But then, like you said, Jason, he comes back and like he gets him, he gets him at another point in time. He gets him at the Halloween party. Like he totally he totally does like that, like, okay, you bettered me here, but I'm gonna get you here and here. But yes, he is a little wimpy because he starts crap and then he runs from 4 dudes and he's like, hey, I'm gonna hose you down. But and then Miyagi is like, 80-year-old dude just saved my ass.
But that's why, Spider-Man saved him.
Yes.
But that's why I was saying he was on the cusp of being a bitch, because when you look at it, when he was fighting Johnny at the beginning, like he's hunched over, faking like he's hurt, and then just hits him with that jab real quick. So of course Johnny's going to come back with some real shit. But then you bring it up when they're at the Halloween party. He ruins his perfectly good legalized marijuana while pouring water on him and running away.
That's where I think he's a dick.
Right. Well, okay. Money has been spent.
Johnny's a dick, but you don't ruin the weed, all right?
Yeah. So then he gets chased, but through that's when, like, also we did get the bike thing, and honestly, the bike scenario is the only one where I felt they went way overboard, because he could have died, honestly, going down that hill. But we eventually get Mr. Miyagi, who is going to train Daniel. He was resistant at first, and he actually didn't want to talk to Daniel the whole time, but this for some reason brought him out. Then they get to know each other, and honest to God, and I still feel this, the swerve, the misdirect of, because eventually he has to do this karate tournament. He signs up for it, and as long as he does it, the Cobra Kai kids can't mess with him. By the way, why isn't there like a little juniors thing called Cobra Kai Kids? I would love that. But
that's the Netflix spin-off.
That's the next spin-off. It's a cartoon.
That's the reality series.
They look like Muppet Babies. I would love it. But the misdirect of Mr. Miyagi teaching him karate without teaching him karate, because he said it the whole time, it's defense. They're learning how to attack, which is wrong. Karate's all about defense. It's here, it's not in here. And I love the fact that it still gets me that he really did. He taught him how to do the movements without teaching him the movements. It's just a beautiful thing, in my opinion.
Wax on, wax off.
Little wax on, wax on.
His fence waxed. Everything. All his chores were done for the summer, and he taught this kid karate.
Child labor while teaching karate.
Perfect.
What a perfect.
It's volunteering at its best. But also, Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita, is amazing in this movie, where he's like, oh, what belt do you have? He's like, brown belt, JCPenney, $3.95. Like,
Arnold's come a long way from owning his own place.
I love sodas him. I know. How weird is it? How weird is it for y'all to hear his real voice and this not being his voice?
It doesn't.
It weirded me the fuck out. I'll be okay with saying it. With this is the first thing that I knew him from. I didn't watch Happy Days back in the day to see that. So this being my first, but then even when I got the DVD back in the day watching it, he's just like, oh, I love this movie. This was the greatest film that I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
I grew up on Happy Days from, again, to really like, Jason with the family like connection here. So they watched Happy Days with me on Nick.
Oh, good. Oh, very good. Very, very good.
Oh no, I fell asleep with like my little 12-inch TV playing Nick at Night. So
that was
where I saw it.
That was my Happy Days. Was a lot of Nick at Night growing up with mom and dad being like, oh.
Now Nick at Night is Friends.
Don't you?
Friends, Seinfeld.
I remember when they put Cheers on there I lost my mind.
Freaked you out?
It freaked me out because I was only in like 8th grade, 9th grade, and they put Cheers on, and I was like, I remember watching the finale.
Oh,
good for you.
We like Cheers at our house too. Hey, Norm.
Yeah, God, love Norm. Jason Sudeikis' uncle.
You just blew my fucking mind. I did not know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I did not know that about George Wendt.
Yep.
Great man of the house.
Oh yeah. So he's training, he's learning, and mostly defense. Eventually, he learns how to punch. And even through that, I love that like Miyagi's like, you play too much, you talk too much, all that stuff. Like, take it seriously because these kids are going to beat you down if you don't try. Through this, we have the love relationship with Elizabeth Shue, Allie. Really hot and cold. By the way, and this is going to localize the fuck out of this show, but every time they go to the arcade gimmick, I cannot not think about Ocean Breeze. I cannot not think about like, oh, there's an arcade, there's go-karts, there's swimming. Like,
World, baby, your place too, right?
Now, if you want a ticket to that, use the 20% code Dojo. But yeah, like I cannot not think about that place at all.
That's a good call. That is a very good call. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what do you think about the relationship? Because it's very hot and cold. Like it is the most like miscommunication, not talking to each other relationship since Ben Affleck and Jen Gardner in Daredevil. Like no one's communicating well in this movie with these two.
Trying to remember Daredevil.
Yeah, good for you.
I wasted a lot of that. I smoked a lot of that away.
Watch the director's cut. It's a good movie.
Just want to hear Colin talk.
It's one of the clearest, like the girl's interested and just says, "You're a dick half this time, so I don't care anymore until you apologize, and then I'll care again."
Not the director's cut. But no, like this relationship's so wild because like you can tell that she does like him, but then there is that like she does play. I don't care what they say. She does kind of play that like, oh no, they're poor, and I'll never have more anxiety than watching when the car doesn't start and they have to push it outside of the front of the rich people house. Fucking gets me every time. That's cool. Don't talk at once.
It's
We're on a show. It's a podcast. I'm bringing up parts of the movie that you can also talk about.
Video people saw me react. They went.
It's also a podcast.
So it's that first time if you've ever had a car breakdown or a date or just with friends. That you're just like,
no, it's just so
you should
horrible.
Be able to relate to that.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
Right.
It's a universally funny moment because if everybody at some point, I wouldn't say has had the car breakdown, but has had that super embarrassing date moment where you're like, well, I just want to crawl up and die as a teenager, but it's not the end of the world type crap.
Right.
It's an everyday life occurrence. Like this happens so many times today prior to this, and it's going to happen so many times after it. It doesn't matter. But in your world, oh my God, I just want to crawl up and die in fetal position.
100%.
Yeah.
They set this up so well because it happens at the very beginning.
It happens at the beginning of the movie.
Traveling from Newark over. Yep. Like they set it up at the beginning to be like, her car sucks. Watch out.
Yep. No, it's bad. It's literally nothing from The Office is worse than this, in my opinion.
Really? I still haven't watched The Office, but I know all about Scott's Tots.
Yeah, but like Scott's Tots is really
yeah, I know all about
that seems not as bad as Scott's Tots. Scott's Tots I can't watch anymore.
Exactly. See?
Oh, I can watch it. I got the socks. I got Scott Tot socks I wear. That's how much I love it.
It's very much a Larry David curb kind of scene.
Yeah, 100%. So we get to the championship, and through this also, and I don't want to undersell this, the Cobra Kai we are introduced to Martin Kove, who plays John Kreese, who's a real piece of shit. And I think, and I don't think I grasped it until this recent watch, you really do see how impressionable the kids are, because they do kind of take into his like kind of bad guy mannerisms of what would Kreese do kind of deal. And then eventually Kreese gets to a point where the kids are like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like they're cheating during the tournament.
Man. Like,
yeah. Well, hey, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
Sorry, we
didn't know anything about that yet. What are you talking about?
We don't know nothing about that.
Well, we know he was in the military. There were pictures.
Yeah,
in the
do
dojo,
know that.
So
we do know that he was in the
military freakouts.
That's right.
There
But we hey. So, like, you can tell this guy's just kind of a D-bag. And he plays it super well. It's weird. I don't know how you guys look at it, but every time I watched this movie as a kid, when I saw Martin Kove, I never saw him in anything else, but I always felt like this is the biggest actor I've ever seen. Like, I never see him in anything else, but I'm just like, he looks like that guy. And maybe he just looks like Patrick Swayze in my mind, but like...
He looks like bad guy Patrick Swayze, yeah.
He does. He's bad guy Patrick Swayze.
And I want to go second on this because I have a crazy take.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
give it to me.
Wonder, you go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, Martin Kove, well, I had I guess like every time I saw him, I just thought D-bag.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get yours, man. You can get yours, man. I don't know how, but it's going to happen, man.
Oh, yeah.
And then
spoilers for 2. We're talking 1.
Sorry, we're still on 1. It's all over the place. It's Dojo, Castle, Mojo. I don't know.
First lesson's free. Stop giving away the cow.
But shit, where was I gonna go? Oh, this was where I was gonna go.
Martin Kove.
Martin Kove, though, I do love him in Tales from the Crypt, which that means you should go to our Patreon and subscribe to that Thrill Me Podcast Network Patreon page, where I actually discuss Martin Kove being on a Tales from the Crypt episode in Crypt of Horror. And there is a new episode dropping later this week.
You hear that? It's the only show that you can't not drag them to.
The only thing I have done to still do, asshole.
Yeah. So what's your take,
All
Jason?
Right. So I was watching this movie. I mean, you know that John Kreese is bad guy and plays just an asshole. But we've all had that neighbor who's down the road who's just the asshole that's just a dick to his kid, but like whatever, he's teaching his kid the way. But then
this is the way.
Step back and look at good old Mr. Miyagi, who fights 4 kids. He has another kid do all of his chores for him. And then while a kid's doing his chores, gets drunk, invites that kid in and makes him drink with him. And then there's another part of it where he's like, hey, do you know how to drive? I don't have a license either. You drive, so you get in trouble if we get caught. And forces him to drive him around while he does all this stuff.
Okay.
So, Mr. Miyagi's not the like, oh, this is the best role model ever. He brings this kid in. He doesn't need to. And then you realize all these things that he's doing. You're like, all right, in 2024, this probably isn't the best of things. This is what we think 80s is.
But
he taught him how to drink. He taught him how to drive. He taught him how to take care of children.
Yeah, drink and drive at the same time. It was
great. That's why there's so much drinking and driving on Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And then he gives him a car from the
spoiling the future.
Sorry.
He gives him a car from the 50s that he taught him to drink and drive in without a seatbelt. And it's like, yeah, go on to your date.
And you know what? Danielson was forever set on a path of never messing up.
Never once again. And owns a car dealership. No, I will say this. I understand where you're coming from, and I definitely think your take is that kind of like, oh, this was an 80s thing. But that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's an 80s thing. You can look at, you cannot look at it from this eye and think that then. It's not a story being told today. But I will also say, to kind of not piggyback, but to join in, you're talking about a guy that closed himself off. his wife died, kid died. He didn't want to grow relationships with anybody. He just wanted to build his little ponds in the backyard. He wanted this. And then he is forced to get to know this kid. And then he opens up to said kid like, yeah, he's not perfect. He was never meant to be perfect. He's not the guy that's going to run for president or anything like that. But I do think with the amount of time that we're allowed with him and seeing how human he is, his humanity is where really seeps over than where Kreese is, where he just looks at soldiers. He doesn't care about good, bad, whatever. He just wants wins because winners are what the world needs. So let's get to the finale of this thing here. The tournament happens, and before we get into that, the music in this movie, fantastic. Outside of Bill Conti's score, which is great, we get The Moment of Truth, The Best Around, which is a fantastic song, great montage song for any time. Cruel Summer's in this. This is one of those 80s soundtracks that still fucking slaps, and I listen to still to this day. But it goes to head. Eventually, he's stomping on the Cobra Kai's while we get other kids in different dojos fighting as well. Yeah. But eventually we get to the like semifinals where Daniel gets his leg kicked in and he might not be able to fight. And earlier we get the Miyagi, just a little tease earlier. So he really went to work on this one. To get him back into the finale where we get that final fight, sweep the leg and such. How was the tournament for y'all? Like from montage to the finale? Because I feel like when you watch a movie Karate Kid today, like if Karate Kid, not Cobra Kai, but like Karate Kid, they would have been like, okay, we need a fucking fight at the beginning, middle, end. And I'm talking like John Wick style fights throughout it. Like they really did provide. This karate thing is the last 15 minutes of this movie. So does it work for you in that aspect, especially kind of being a sports movie?
It works for me. And I love that you keep calling this a sports movie. I wanted to bring that up earlier because I've heard the debate before. I've heard the discussion before where there are people out there that try to argue this isn't a sports movie because they don't consider karate to be a sport. But my thing is, what we're talking about right now, there's a whole tournament at the end of it. There's a whole fight sequence at the end of it. Like karate is definitely a sport, and this is 100% checking every box along the way of sports film. Of Rocky, like you brought up Rocky, and it made sense now because it 100% really does. It's a teenage version of Rocky. It's a kid's version of Rocky.
100% what it is.
It's exactly what it is. It truly is that, like,
it's Mickey and Rocky.
Nobody,
Miyagi, Daniel.
Yeah, guy who shouldn't get a shot, doesn't deserve it, is a nobody, you know, could be a contender, finally is a contender, and has his moment in the glory, you know, like, it's totally that. It really is. It just has, you know, a different ending from Rocky, but Rocky's ending wasn't supposed to be like Karate Kid's because, again, Karate Kid is for kids.
Exactly.
But yes, this is definitely uplifting. Exactly. Yeah, it needs to be uplifting as opposed to walking away as an adult. You're like, yeah, I know Rocky didn't win, but he went the distance against the champion. That's all that matters.
That's right.
That guy has a chance. That's what I want. Why won't my boss just give me a chance to go the distance against the champion? So, Karate Kid. Love the fight sequence at the end. It's totally like, it really is like, it's funny you say it's only like 15 minutes because it feels longer.
Yeah, it does
feel longer to me. Like, it doesn't feel like when we watch Ghostbusters 2, and I'm like, boy, that was 5 minutes.
They ghostbusted for 5 minutes.
Boy, they showed up and they defeated the villain.
Yep.
So when's the third film coming? Oh, 20 plus 30 years later? Okay. I'll
wait till we get girls.
No. We don't talk about that.
Yes, we'll call it the next Ghostbusters.
But I enjoy the fight sequences. I like the karate sequences. I think it's cool. I think it helps build the drama too.
The point system,
points, the disqualification, get you back out there type stuff. Right. Like, it has the wonderful build-up, but it does blow my mind when you say it's only 15 minutes, because, again, it really feels longer than that.
No, go, Jason.
It definitely feels longer. And is there I think you can put this in a top 5 probably of most iconic 80s scenes.
Oh God,
where he's doing the crane kick, and like that is the part where everyone and every kid who grew up from 84 probably through 98 tried to do a crane kick on somebody.
Oh yeah,
gym class, man, fucking gym class.
You're like, okay, I've got one leg, and you fell before you did it, or you jumped and just fell backwards.
Yeah,
Matt laid out
kicked
in
the
gym
stomach.
Class.
You just kicked the stomach.
Yeah,
I don't got height, bro.
There's so much about that scene that's just amazing. From the montage portion to you see all of the bad guys starting to realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Having that the inner conflict within themselves.
Bad guy. Am I?
Right, but that's what I love. He gets kicked in the fucking face, loses the match, grabs the trophy to go to Daniel and say, "You're all right, man. Congratulations. Good fight." Like, again, it goes into like they realize Martin Kreese is the bad guy who's led us astray all this time. Our surrogate fathers, because we don't have dads. This is a fatherless town that no one has a dad, and we all are doing bad choices.
Spoiling things.
He's banging all of our moms.
He's banging every mom.
And that's why we're all in this class together. And when I see him as dad, why
now I want to watch this Cobra Kai.
Wait, guys banging all the moms in town. Are we talking about Jingle All the Way apartment all of a sudden?
Oh no, I thought we were talking about the porn Cobra guy.
Cobra Come.
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Sweep the dick.
No, sweep the third leg. Look, I'll punch up your stomach.
Sweep it.
You got a problem with that? Yeah, so for me, exactly.
I will show you wax on and wax off.
My third leg hurts.
Sorry to everybody listening.
But what's wild, like, the end of the movie is like 15 minutes, but crazy, the movie's like 2 hours and 6 minutes. Like, it takes work to get there, but it's swift. I swear to God, every time I watch it, it's 90 minutes, easy breezy watch. It's
you
easy.
Realize it was over 2 hours.
Yeah, and then you go, holy shit, that was 2 hours, and you look up and it's just Pat Miranda looking at me like, and then it's the end of the movie credits.
And you're like, I from daycare.
That's right. I think the movie still holds up. I'm excited even more so after watching this one to go through it. Do you guys still think the movie holds up? Do you think it's actually, this is the question, knowing the show that we're doing, if someone said to you, hey, I'm going to watch Cobra Kai, and you go, whoa, you know about Karate Kid, right? Watch that first. Do you think it's that level of kind of rewatch?
Ooh. I think it's definitely that level of rewatch, but I will say, being with somebody who still actually has not seen the original Karate Kid, but has seen every episode of Cobra Kai, I don't think it matters at the end of the day.
Okay.
Because I think Cobra Kai does a wonderful job at, if you are unaware or you did not grow up with it, they do a wonderful job to, in the early episodes, kind of be like, hey, this is who all those OG characters are, and this is what happened, and blah, 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 blah. Here you go. Here's new show. Here's perspective we're taking it from. Because, yes, my wife only knew about Karate Kid actually because of How I Met Your Mother. Right. She had no idea about that franchise until How I Met Your Mother.
It's real?
Yes. And then it was kind of one of those, like, it kind of was the reaction, honestly, when I was like, oh, you should watch Cobra Kai. And she was like, huh? And I was like, oh, it's based on the Karate Kid. It looks at it from a different. And she was like, wait, wasn't that How I Met Your Mother? And I was like, yes. How I Met Your Mother created this damn show. You're welcome. Wow. Go watch it.
Wow.
And loved every second of it. is so excited for the finale, and does want to go back and watch the original to kind of understand some more of why me as a viewer was like, and having those like really emotional moments where it was like, oh my God, oh wow, like where it was like, I don't get why you're reacting that way. Like it's cool, but why are you crying over that thing with Pat Moran?
Well, like I've kind of undersold the fact of like this show was a comeback. It's something I never thought I would ever see. Like I never in a million years. And then on top of that, even with recent memory with how like Ghostbusters is coming out, I think they've done even better because like they've realized like when they were the most popular thing, they were a movie, but of course it's going to die down, and then people who want it, it's easier to watch a TV show. And I think that's why Ghostbusters has struggled, because Ghostbusters is just staying in movies where it's easier to watch something on Netflix. It's still popular. So if like Ghostbusters was like, fuck the movies, let's just make a TV show, Ghostbusters for Netflix, I bet you it would be even more zeitgeist than what Frozen Empire did. But like this franchise for me, watching this movie before Cobra Kai, I think it's an absolute must. And I think it's an absolute must because one of the things that Cobra Kai does, and you're right, they do kind of explain it better, or not better, but well.
They give you a quick enough, like, hey, here's
a bunch of backstory.
Yeah, they do.
It twists it. So
but this is what I'm.
views.
But that's what I was going to say. When you watch The Karate Kid, it's Daniel's view of the entire situation. So when you get to Cobra Kai 1, it's like, oh, now we're getting Johnny's view of the aspect, and then we move on. So it's nice to see both the leads in their actual looking of the situation.
Their state of minds of how they viewed that whole thing.
Right.
So it also, to me, I would say you don't have to watch it first, but you have to watch it at some point. Okay. Because like I said, I didn't remember the first 15 minutes of this movie because I think I always catch it on TV. And it was like, oh, cool. We're at the beach scene. I know exactly what's happening. Here we go.
Right.
But then you see like they pull into the apartment complex. That's the same apartment complex they're in the movie or in the show. So it's like, oh, shit. You didn't realize that the poor part of town that they used to joke him about, now that's where
that's where he came from.
And he's living there now, and you're seeing it still like I've never seen a piece of shit town go to the best part of town without being knocked down. So you still see that it's worse as it ever has been.
Yeah, it hasn't been gentrified yet.
Yeah, it hasn't been gentrified yet at all.
That's amazing.
And the pool still doesn't have any water in it.
No water. That pool's never going to have water.
That's one of those bits that I had to explain where I'm like, I just keep laughing every time the pool doesn't have water. It's just like, why is that funny? And I'm like, I have to show you the first movie. Like,
that's what I'm saying. You don't have to watch it first, but if you watch it first, you'll start to see more when you watch it. But when you go back, you're like, oh. Because in the show, they don't mention it. It's just in the background.
They don't have to.
Oh man!
It becomes one of those
nice
things.
Easter eggs.
It's a little it's a little.
The true fans are
like, true fans.
Hey,
you know I'm a real fan. I'm wearing my fucking Cobra Kai shirt.
You wore the Cobra Kai shirt to the Cobra Kai thing.
That's right. That's right.
You want me to talk about seeing the Martin Cove, Danielson, and William at AwesomeCon?
Yeah, you can go for it. Like during their panel.
Actually, they did a panel right after the second season dropped on YouTube Red. Like it dropped on YouTube. That was the other reason why I had to create that second fake account. I knew I was going to AwesomeCon. I knew they were speaking on Friday, and the episode Friday because they dropped on like a Thursday. And I watched all of them. And when we got into there, they were like, "We don't want to spoil anything. Has anybody in here watched the new season?" The whole fucking room just erupted.
Right.
The whole room was like, "Ooh!"
Because I think YouTube Red dropped them all.
Yeah, they dropped them all. All episodes. So
30 minutes. Easy.
Everybody was ready to go, which that's the thing too, is God, that was what I don't even know what year that was. That was the first year I went to AwesomeCon.
Okay. So probably 2018, 19.
Yeah, pre-pandemic. Yeah. We were all still living in a world before we knew we could die from a virus. And then we started questioning doctors and all that stuff. So and our likes just
yes, exactly. Thanks,
demonetized. Way to go.
I just went Travis Kelce. Damn it. I love Aaron Rodgers.
You never go full Travis Kelce. You never go full Aaron Rodgers.
Damn it, I went both. But I will say that panel was one of the biggest panels in DC that weekend. And it's the one I remember the most. I cannot. The other thing I can tell you about that first year is that I met the badass Billy Gunn and I made him laugh by going, "Oh my God, it's the 2000 King of the Ring." Yes. And he chuckled at that because I know all he heard all day was "suck it, suck it," and I was like, "The 2000 King of the Ring."
Nice. I've had Mexican dinner with Billy Gunn.
You son of a bitch.
You're not going to impress me with your wrestling stories, pal.
King of the Ring, Jeff. Nobody remembers.
Hey, he got like 2 big fucking burritos, okay, pal?
And then I paid him $30 for 3 photos.
Nice. Not too bad. Not too
bad.
Was
not, no, when he was like $30, I was like, "Here's my debit card." And then he was like, "You want a photo with Slaughter as well?" It's only
He's pimping out
Slaughter. I'm okay. I don't need Sergeant Slaughter's photos.
He's pimping out Slaughter. That's amazing.
Yeah, because it was both of them for 40, and I was like, "I'm okay."
I just need the 30, pal.
It's not worth the extra 10.
All right. Well, so this was Thrill Me Wrestling Hour. Good times. Great. Love it. Thanks for coming. Next week. Yeah, next week we'll talk about King of the Ring 2002. Yeah, that's Brock. We'll talk Brock Lesnar next week.
Brock Lesnar.
All right. Next week we are going to talk Karate Kid 2. Make sure you check that out. Thrill Me Dojo is open. Your first lesson was free, but then you need to come back and pay us for that. Okay, so until next week. Fucking Ki? I don't know.